You know what's exhausting? Caring about everything that has nothing to do with you. Music caring about what he said, what she thinks, whether they noticed, whether they approved, whether they clapped, whether they understood. You've been running yourself into the ground, chasing the reactions of people who go home at night and don't music think about you for a single second. And I'm not saying that to be harsh. I'm saying music that because it's the thing nobody tells you, and it's the thing that once it clicks changes, music, everything. There's a version of your life where you stop, where you pull all that scattered energy back into yourself, where you redirect every ounce of attention you've music been pouring outward into the only place it was ever supposed to go, into you, into your music work, into your mind, into what you're building in the dark when nobody's music watching. That's not selfishness. That's survival. That's wisdom. That's the whole game. Here's something most people never figure out. The music chaos in your life isn't coming from outside. It's coming from the fact that you've abandoned your post. Music, you left yourself. You walked out on your own mind and set up camp in everyone else's business. Music, their opinions, their timelines, their drama. And then you wonder why everything feels scattered and nothing feels music stable. Think about water for a second. Water doesn't argue with the rock. Music, it doesn't stress about the rock. It just finds another way around it, music, and keeps moving. And eventually, not by force, not by frustration, it shapes the entire music landscape. That's not passivity. That's precision. That's knowing what you can carve music and what you can't. Most people spend their whole lives throwing themselves against music rocks, against people who don't want to change, against situations that we're never going to bend. And they walk away bruised and exhausted music, not realizing that the energy they burned on what was never theirs to change could have moved mountains. Music in the places that actually mattered. The moment you stop bleeding energy into everything you can't control, something shifts, something quiet music, but seismic. You stop feeling like life is happening to you. You start feeling like you're happening to life. The Stoics' music believed that the mind is a fortress. And the idea was this: nothing gets inside without your permission, not in music. Insult, not a failure, not someone else's opinion of who you are. The walls don't fall unless you open the gate. Music yourself. And most people are standing at that gate, throwing it wide, open, inviting every criticism, every comparison, music, every piece of noise the world throws at them, and then wondering why there's no music piece left inside. The practice is learning to close the gate, to look at something that used to send music, you spiraling, and say, that's not getting in today. Not because you're running from it, music, but because you've decided that your inner world is worth protecting, that the quality of your thoughts is the quality of your life. That's not coldness. That's one of the most powerful decisions a person can make. I want you to think about the last time you felt genuinely at peace, not happy. Peace is different. Music, happy, depends on things going right. Peace is that stillness you feel when you're so locked into what you're doing that the noise outside just fades. Music, that feeling wasn't an accident. That was you, focused on yourself. That was you home. And you can live there. A music, not just visit. Here's the uncomfortable truth that comes with all of this. Focusing on yourself requires you to music give up. The habit of blame. When your eyes are always on the outside, blame is easy. It's the circumstances. Music. It's the timing. It's everything except you. And maybe some of that is even true. But it doesn't matter, because as long as your mind is music, busy constructing reasons why your life isn't where it should be, your hands aren't building anything, music. The Stoics talked about this, the difference between being the author of your life, music, and being the audience. The audience watches and reacts. The author decides what the next line, music, is, and that shift doesn't require your circumstances to change. It just requires you, music, to stop waiting for permission and start writing. What are you doing with what you have? Music, not what were you given, not what was taken. What are you doing right now with what's in your hands? Music, that question used to terrify people. Now, I think it's the most freeing thing in the world. There's music, a kind of person you've probably seen who just seems to have it together. Not music in a fake way, in a quiet, unshakable way. Things go wrong and they adjust. And music, people talk and they don't flinch. It's not luck. It's not talent. It's attention. It's where they put their mind, they stopped the leak. Music. They stopped pouring energy into things they couldn't control and reinvested every drop into what they could, into their craft, music, into their character, into showing up fully for the work in front of them. It looks like discipline from the outside, but from the inside, it just feels like clarity. Music. The Stoics understood something else that most people miss. Music said that how you do anything is how you do everything. The person who shows up fully for the quiet music, unseen work is the same person who shows up when the stakes are high. Character isn't something you perform on special occasions. Music, it's what you've been building or neglecting in every single ordinary moment. Think about that. Music for a second. Every time you chose discipline when nobody was watching, that was a brick. Every time you held your tongue when you could have reacted to music, that was a brick. Every time you got back to work instead of refreshing your phone, waiting for validation that was never coming. Music, that was a brick. You've been building a structure this whole time. Most people just never step back far enough to music, see it. So when you focus on yourself, you're not just improving your output. Music, you're forging something. You're building a person with a spine, a person with standards, a person who doesn't need the room music to go quiet when they walk in because they already know who they are. And that music person, the one you're becoming through every focused hour, every choice to look inward instead of outward, music, that person is the answer to most of the problems you're worried about, music, right now. So here's what I want to leave you with. You don't need more motivation. You don't need a better strategy, music. You don't need to wait for the right moment or the right people to finally give you permission. You've been waiting long enough, and everything you've been music waiting for has been sitting inside you this whole time, untouched. Music, patient, ready. You need to come back to yourself, not the version of you that performs for others, not the version that shrinks in certain rooms or changes depending on who's watching. The real one, the one music that knows exactly what it wants when the noise dies down, and it's just you and your thoughts at the end of the night. Every music, morning before the noise starts, come back. Ask yourself what actually matters. Today, not what's trending, not what music people think, not what you're afraid of, what matters, what's yours to do. And then go do it with music. Everything you have, no half measures. No 1 foot in, 1 foot out, all of it. Music, do that for a week and tell me your life doesn't shift. Do that music for a month and you'll wonder why you ever lived any other way. The world will keep being music loud. People will keep having opinions. Life will keep throwing things at you that you didn't ask for, music. None of that is going away. But you focused, grounded, locked into yourself. You become someone that none music that can touch. Stop watching everyone else. Come home to yourself, music, and watch what happens.